What's going on, guys? This is Dave Heilman and Justin Bruni, and this is the SGPN Fantasy Football Podcast. The SGPN Fantasy Football Podcast is on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network and presented to you today by WynnBet. Bet $100 at WynnBet and get $100 get a $100 free bet. Head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WynnBet. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WYNNBET to claim your free bet today.
Justin, how are we doing, Dave? Doing good, sir. Doing good. Ready to get to some mock draft in here. I might already be on the clock.
Yeah, I mean, it's draft season. So we got to do some mock drafts. That's the number one rule to be prepared to your draft. You got to mock, right? You got to stretch. You got to practice. You got to, maybe you might end up with Jamison Crowder. You're like, okay, maybe I need to go a different route next time. So let's start up. Everyone's here. See a bunch of green lights. We might want to put this on the board. So I don't know if you have that, but I can try to pull that up.
Yeah, we'll get it going here.
So just talk about the news a little bit to start it off. I mean, obviously the biggest news of the day, Deshaun Watson, 11 games. So they got the bye week plus 11 games. He's going to start week 13, of course, against the Houston Texans. Completely coincidental. The NFL had no say in that. What are your thoughts?
I'm avoiding Deshaun Watson. I'm not interested in drafting guys, especially in redraft. They're going to be missing 11 games. You might find some opportunity for him later on in your draft. If you've kind of faded the quarterback position, you may have an opportunity where you can, draft him in the last handful of rounds. But, I still like the options of drafting just, really faded quarterbacks. If you draft like a guy like Mitch Trubisky with like your second or last pick and a single quarterback draft and he goes off the first 3 or 4 weeks, you might be able to find somebody that's willing to, trade for him if they went through an injury because the situation, I don't think it's going to get any worse or anything. I don't think this will get corrected, this appeal. But yeah, it's just not ideal for fantasy. 11 out of 18 game availability, not a good situation to be in.
No. And so what do you do with the rest of the group here? So you have Kareem Hunt, he's obviously requested a trade. If this season gets off, to a really bad start, maybe he could get traded and that could really kind of throw his value off. And then you're going to have Amari Cooper that's going to have Jacoby Brissett most likely for 11 weeks. I mean, it's pretty late in the season for them to actually make a trade. They could go get Jimmy Garoppolo now that they know that, Deshaun's out for most of the year. But what do you do with the rest of the cast?
Yeah, everyone's fallen down the rankings for sure. I think other than Nick Chubb, I think that he's still a lock at his ADP. I don't really move him any farther back or any farther up because he's still not going to have like that PPR type of focus. He's not going to be catching a lot of passes. Amari Cooper moving him down, David Bell moving him down, Anthony Schwartz, you can probably drop him at this point. I know that, there were some of us that were, chasing some of those roster cloggers because they're going to be playing alongside, a potential top tier quarterback in Deshaun Watson. But yeah, those values are all coming down for me. I'm not really that interested. Maybe some David Njoku, Kareem Hunt, his value's got to drop a little bit, maybe like a round or so. I think the other running backs around his ADP, he still may seem appetizing with a quarterback that may be doing a lot of dinking and dunking around the line of scrimmage. So yeah, everybody's got to fall a little bit here, but some more drastic than others. Probably Amari Cooper and, the rest of the receiver groups I'd be off of most.
Yeah. So we'll recap the first round here in a second. Just so everyone knows, this is a 12-team, one quarterback redraft league, no third round reversal, full point PPR. And we just want to make sure everyone knows what we're looking at. And then, Justin, while I make my pick, can you recap the first round, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So start off CMC, Christian McCaffrey going over Jonathan Taylor at the 101. That's becoming a bit of a growing trend. I filled out the 102, so I took Jonathan Taylor. Followed by me went Justin Jefferson, Derrick Henry, Jamar Chase, Austin Eckler, Najee Harris, Cooper Kupp, Dalvin Cook, CeeDee Lamb, DeAndre Swift, and Devonta Adams. Pretty much the usual cast for, the first round for a single quarterback league. No one really stands out. Maybe Derrick Henry a little bit higher than usual in a PPR format. How do you think about this, how it shook out here?
Yeah, pretty normal. You're going to see a lot of running backs. And we still see some, receivers trickled in there. I don't think anyone really stood out. But my boy CeeDee Lamb going as the fourth receiver off the board. As much as it's my boy CeeDee Lamb, that's still probably a little bit rich for even me. We had a show out the other day, and I got real excited and was like, CeeDee Lamb's the number 5 receiver. And then I looked at my rankings and I'm like, 6. I meant to say 6 because I have him at 6. I'm really excited about CeeDee Lamb this year, but having him as the 4th, that's a little bit rich. We'll see how it goes. You know, you took Jonathan Taylor at the 2 spot. I actually got Jonathan Taylor in a podcasters league this week at the 2 spot.
Nice.
So CMC is starting to trend more as the 101.
How about
I
that?
say it's at least a 50-50 split.
I mean, if there's a couple of guys that have the potential to get 30 touches a game, they're it, right? Like, as much as I like Justin Jefferson, it's really hard for me to move him up into one of those top 2 spots when he's still a wide receiver, right? Like, he's not going to get most likely most weeks more than 15 targets. Like, that's just not going to happen. I'm sure there's some weeks where he can really boom in those opportunities. But yeah, when you're looking at the safe floors, McCaffrey and Taylor, 1A, 1B, whatever direction you want to go. Seems like people are starting to feel like McCaffrey is a little bit more 1A than 1B.
Yeah, and just to remind everybody, please go out, like, subscribe, comment. If you're on YouTube, you can go to the YouTube and check it out. You can do some comments there. Just make sure you guys go out and let us know what your thoughts are about the content, and let us know if you want to do more mock drafts. We're doing them every week, and if you got a format that you're really looking to try out, whether it's Superflex Dynasty or whatever it is, we're willing to try it out, and we want to make sure that people get what they want.
Yeah, we're making our rounds. We did the Superflex last week, doing single quarterback tonight, liking it. We got our cheat sheets out. Be sure to check those out at sportsgamblingpodcastnetwork.com. You get everything from standard to Superflex, PPR, half-point PPR. We have everything you need to walk you through your draft.
Yeah, and shout out to the guys. Every single one was here. Everyone made their pick round 1. It's the worst when you get a mock draft all set up and there's a whole bunch of auto drafts. So huge shout out to everyone on here. I see a couple of my guys. Bourbon Dude. We're already getting a guy. We definitely got to get a.
Wow.
Oh, we got to reach. We got to reach.
Ooh, Josh Allen. That is early. That is early in single QB. I mean, typically that ADP, you're looking for him to go in like maybe round 4, probably at worst. Round 2, that is a dive.
So Bandy 4th and flex, we definitely will make that happen and make sure we get set up. I'm always willing to come on the shows. Bourbon Dude is one of our guys, and Bruni as well. So let us know, and then right back at you. We'll be getting you an invite. I know I got my 2 guests for next week. I'm sure Bourbon Dude probably jump on with me, but I've got Pat Fitzmaurice coming on the show from Fantasy Pros, and
Nice.
also DFS Docket. He's going to talk a little Dynasty, a little DFS with us as well as we get one day closer to week 1.
Man, I cannot get enough Keenan Allen. I cannot get enough Keenan Allen.
It's funny because I got Keenan Allen, but I actually got Keenan Allen in the 2nd, and then I forget who I got in the 3rd, but yeah, I if it's full point PPR, I'm all about that Keenan Allen life.
I mean, everyone is so high on Justin Herbert. I can't believe why we wouldn't be as high on Keenan or Austin Eckler, who are still going to be huge components of the passing offense. So yeah, I've been cleaning up on Keenan Allen shares. Maybe I have too many. I hope it's not one of those years, knocking on wood, but yeah, feeling really good about him coming into this season, especially at his ADP. I'm not sure which receiver that was, but he was the first receiver I took. So it's 5, 6, 7, 8. Took him as 9. I have him ranked as wide receiver 7, so a bit of a value pick there for me, moving him up a couple of spots.
Yeah, to wrap up round 2, so we had Alvin Kamara go off 201, Stephon Diggs 202. That was me. I got DeAndre Swift and Stephon Diggs. Saquon Barkley at 203. Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews back-to-back at 4 and 5. Joe Mixon 206. Deebo Samuel 207. Josh Allen 208. Then we had Nick Chubb 209. Leonard Fournette 210. Aaron Jones 211. Tyreek Hill 212. Javonte Williams at 301. Then we had Keenan Allen at 302 to Bruni. He's got Jonathan Taylor, Aaron Jones, and Keenan Allen. James Conner, Kyle Pitts, Mike Evans, Ezekiel Elliott. Bandy 4 is on the board. So as far as the board right now, we got 1 running back, 3 tight ends, and then a whole bunch of running backs and receivers. It's pretty even, but obviously the running backs are dominating the board. Is that your strategy you always go to as far as getting 2 out of the first 3-4 picks, getting 2 running backs?
And single QB, yeah, because you already saw a very big run on them in the first round. So coming back around, you want to kind of shore up that value. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of value running backs that I like this year, but especially in that spot where I was at with Aaron Jones, like he's someone that I'm super high on this year. One of these running backs I feel can kind of take on like a pass catching workload like an Alvin Kamara, where he has over 80 plus catches, because we just don't know who else is going to be there to catch the ball for the Packers, not loaded up at receiver anymore. So I like his opportunity. I like his floor. And yeah, in single QB, we still have that great value from the wide receiver position. Like it's always going to be there. So there's really nothing to propel their value. They were picked as pretty even split in the first round. Kind of surprised we didn't see Kelsey or Andrews go in the first round in this format, but that just shows you how much more valuable people are evaluating running backs and wide receivers. So when they're flying off the shelf, you kind of have the two schools of thought, like lean into the curve and get whatever's left at the position, or divert and try to stack up elsewhere. And it felt like there was going to be a good amount of receivers left over. So we'll see how that strategy holds up here in my next pick that's coming up in about 7 spots.
Everyone's got at least one running back except for the 105 spot. He's the one that took Josh Allen at 2. Got 2 receivers there. Got Jamar Chase and Mike Evans. We'll see what he ends up there. A bunch of us have 3 running backs. We have at least 2 from the first 4 picks, and then the 6th spot has 2. The 7th spot has 3. The 8th spot actually has no running back. Probably going to pick one right now. Then we have Dalvin Cook is the only running back. So maybe kind of a hero running back. They went with a very balanced approach. Dalvin Cook, Travis Kelce, T. Higgins, Justin Herbert. What are your thoughts on that approach, going with balance?
I still think it's too early for quarterback, but I like the balance approach. I like, grabbing, your top running back, tight end, and receiver at value. But again, in this format, I just really like the value picks on QB. These guys can start the run here, but I'll tip my hand a little bit. Obviously, I know some of the people in the chat are watching, but I'm going to be targeting guys like Cousins or Carr, Tom Brady. Somewhere between quarterback like 8 and 11. Is still going to be very good value in a draft like this, because you're only going to see top 24 quarterbacks drafted at best. And in this format, we're doing 15 rounds. So I feel like a lot of teams really don't even need to draft a second quarterback. So I'm going to definitely be hanging back on this one and hopefully cleaning up some value picks on receivers. And that's what I need right now is receivers. So
yeah. So with my picks, I went Breece Hall and then turned around and got Cam Akers, doubled up there. Took a little bit of risk. But one of my thought processes, I'm not going to walk away with my draft and say this is my team for the rest of the year. I'm going to load up on running backs and hopefully unload them later on. And I really do like the value of the receivers coming up. We'll see what's there. But I was between those 3 running backs, Breece Hall, Travis Etienne, and Cam Akers. I was upset Etienne didn't make it back to me. What are your thoughts there? How would you rank those 3 guys, Hall, Etienne, and Akers?
Hall, Etienne, and Akers. Etienne stock's going down a little bit right now with all this positive James Robinson talk about all that. I would probably go Hall, Etienne, and then Akers. Etienne seems like it's going to start to be more of a split, but obviously James Robinson is going to be pretty fragile and used pretty sparingly, even if he is healthy, to get on the field week 1 or week 2. But I just feel like over time, if he's healthier throughout the season, you could see Etienne's value just dip a little bit. I think his role is going to be pretty solidified in the offense as that third down pass catching back, and probably used in a lot of packages as a receiver. And then Akers behind him, going to be splitting with D. Hendy. Sean McVay offense, they may not overload one of those running backs. I like the potential for Breece Hall to just get the most carries of those 3 players. And I guess that's where I'll just, plant my flag, is the guy that I feel like will get the most volume. Oddly enough, last year the Jets ran less than an Adam Gase offense the year prior. Didn't know it was possible. The Jets made it happen. My goodness. I think that they're going to be trying to focus on getting the ball on the ground and trying to protect the passing game early and often this year, especially with the potential of missing Zach Wilson for some time. So I feel like Breece Hall will be that shield to try and protect the passing game and try to, move the chains.
Yeah, well, getting Sauce Gardner helps. And not, when you're down 21-0 after 3 drives, it's tough to run the ball.
A little bit.
That's pretty much what the Jets' life was like last
Mhm.
year. It was just like, all right, let's hope we can keep them to a field goal this drive. People were just putting points on them left and right, and it really did take the running game out. Took that game out of there. It was very helpful for Michael Carter when he was getting 14 targets a game. But it was difficult. The Jets defense definitely is improved this year. It looks to be improved.
Agreed.
We'll see if Saleh can get the boys together. The Jets are already having some injury, bad luck with Becton and now Wilson.
What do you think about the Jets potentially grabbing Garoppolo? We hinted at it a little bit earlier about with Watson. I don't think that's a move that the Browns make, with only missing 11 games and the type of money bag that Garoppolo is going to demand even in the short term. But I feel like with the Jets, you have that connection with Robert Saleh. Obviously, an opportunity is now opened up with Zach Wilson potentially getting hurt. Is that a good fit to you? Do you think?
I feel like it makes more sense for the Browns than the Jets because the Browns have something to play for. They don't have their first round pick next year, and Deshaun's going to be out for 11 games. So that's a long time, and Wilson's probably out 1 or 2. They're saying that Wilson, should be back. He's potentially could be ready to go week 1. That doesn't sound very likely, but if you could get Zach Wilson back by week 3, it makes no sense to go out and trade a second or third round pick and get Jimmy Garoppolo for 2 games.
Man, so Browns double down then? I mean, because I'd imagine they're going to have to give up similar draft stock. They're going to have to double down. And I agree with you. You're right. You're absolutely right. The Browns are definitely more of a championship or bust team right now in comparison to the Jets. So I definitely agree with you in terms of that.
Is this one of the drafts where you guys draft only Eagles? Seems common on this channel. I don't know. I actually go the opposite. I just draft 0 Eagle. That's a 0 Eagle strategy.
I like AJ Brown.
My first team is the Giants, and my second is whoever's playing against the Eagles. So then I have to cheer against my fantasy players, so it's counterproductive for me.
Got Brad taking a quarterback here. Is that 1, 2, 3, 5th quarterback off the board? Jalen Hurts. A little early for Jalen Hurts, in my opinion.
Yeah. And Brad, it's funny. I think we last week at the conversation we had about Jalen Hurts has Brad more excited about Jalen Hurts than ever. We switched sides of the argument. We switched sides of the argument last night because I may or may not have had Jalen Hurts as one of my sell targets. And for me, if I'm going to tell people to sell someone, it's because I think you can get a lot in return. So I'm going to tell you to sell good pieces. And, Marcus Grant would say, this is why you guys can't have nice things in Dynasty because you want to trade everything that's worth anything. But for me, I don't think it's too early because he's the 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe it's a little early, but we'll see. Maybe he's expecting a run coming up and wants to make sure he solidifies that.
Gonna hit a quick word from our sponsors here really quick. Thinking of joining WynnBet, now is the perfect time for new customers who bet $100 to get a $100 free bet. Plus, the WynnBet Casino is always open 24 hours a day, where you can get a 100% deposit bonus up to $1,000. There's so much to choose from, and all you have to do is head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WynnBet so they know that we sent you. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WYNNBET to claim your free bet today. Offer subject to change, terms and conditions at wynnbet.com. Must be 21 or older and present in the state where playthrough WynnBet is available. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, please call 1-800-522-4700.
And let's not forget about Odds Trader. What is Odds Trader? It's a place where you can compare all the odds from all the major sports books. You can also compare the different sign-up codes and promotions from sports books to get the best deal. The app also provides player statistics, key game stats, injury reports, and projected game day weather, so bettors can make the most informed bets possible. It also has a bet tracker, so bettors can keep records for all your games and betting activity. Some of the key features, again, handicapping, play-by-play updates, live scores and bet tracking, player statistics, key game statistics, projected game day weather, bet tracker. Again, keeping track of your stats, keeping track of your activity. Go to oddstrader.com/Blue Wire. Odds Trader. It's the #1 site for all your game day bets. So I think we're back on the third round recap. You're about to go, so I will recap starting with the third round. Javonte Williams, Keenan Allen, James Conner, Kyle Pitts, Mike Evans, Ezekiel Elliott, David Montgomery, A.J. Brown, T. Higgins, Michael Pittman, Breece Hall, Travis Etienne. Then we had Cortland Sutton, Cam Akers, T.J. Moore, Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes, Terry McLaurin, Deontay Johnson, George Kittle, Jalen Waddle, Darren Waller, Marquise Brown, and Lamar Jackson. 5th round, Mike Williams, Allen Robinson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Josh Jacobs, J.K. Dobbins, Elijah Mitchell, that's your boy.
That's my guy.
5th, next to A.J. Dillon at 5'7". I like those running backs in the 5th round. 5'8", we had Juju. 5'9", Chris Godwin. 5'10", Jerry Jeudy. Michael Thomas at 5'11", Jalen Hurts at 5'12". Then the 6th round, we have Kareem Hunt, DK Metcalf, Dalton Schultz, Adam Thielen, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. 6'6", we got Darnell Mooney. 6'7", Amari Cooper. 6'08", Brandon Cooks. Joe Burrow, 6'9". Kyler Murray, 6'10". Rashad Bateman, 6'11". Gabe Davis, 6'12". Ramondre Stevenson season, 7'1". Dak Prescott, 7'02". Allen Lazard, 7'03".
I do not like that Clyde Edwards-Helaire pick.
No? And did you make it?
It was not me. No, I would not. No, I would not be that person. That would
So
not be me.
So if you're out there and you had the Clyde Edwards, you can follow him at Matty Daddy on Twitter.
Is that that's heavy hitter Rob?
Yeah, you can hit. You can follow Matty. Heavy hitter Rob can follow Matty Daddy.
Oh, gotcha.
His beef on Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Gotcha.
So right now, looking at the board, we almost half the. I think more than half have quarterbacks already, except for I'm one of those guys that doesn't have a quarterback
it's
yet.
Coming around to you, you'll have a good option. I didn't like or appreciate the 2 quarterbacks getting picked right before my 2 picks. I didn't like that. I would have liked to take the quarterback into the 7th round, and I honestly I was feeling like I could get Burrow or Kyler at that pick. So nice job to Tommy Two Socks Exel pulling the trigger on Burrow there, and then Griffin smartly followed with Kyler Murray, because that value at end of the 6th, beginning of the 7th is really good. But I don't hate Dak either. Another very good situation. They're going to have to pass the ball a lot. I don't trust Ezekiel Elliott. Tony Pollard, he's a nice little playmaker out of the backfield, but I don't think that they're going to have it on the ground this year. So I like the passing offense for the Dallas Cowboys.
Tommy Two Socks. He's also in Peaky Blinders, I think. That's quite the name there. So,
We'll appreciate that.
When you're looking at your draft and you can see, I love the color coordination that Sleeper does. You can really see where the receivers are running hard in rounds 3, 4, 5, 6, and the running backs are starting to dry up. Is there where does the running back dead zone start for you?
In this type of format, probably rounds 3 and 4, because you're just going to have all those top options getting pulled off the board. Is that me? Oh, I thought that was me running out.
Sounded like it.
Yeah, those top options are going to be off the board, and you're going to get into kind of muckier waters with what's available. Like your Antonio Gibsons, your Miles Sanders. Do you trust Damian Harris, or are you now in full swing with Ramondre Stevenson? For like, if you look at my board or my draft here, I went heavy with running backs, and then there was just so many receivers I feel like I can trust in rounds. What is that, 3 through 6? So that's where I felt safe going. And that's really all you want to do, is expose yourself to as many safe floors as possible in your fantasy draft. I feel like that's a pretty good approach in the single quarterback format or leagues. Now, if you're into like super flex, I'm typically starting off with quarterback, running back, quarterback, running back, because again, a lot of the mid-tier wide receivers I'm higher on. Guys like Allen Robinson, Juju Smith-Schuster, even Rashad Bateman, he was on my team here. Those guys I feel like are going to have very safe floors because of their available target exposure in their offense this season, or their projected target exposure.
Yeah. So my question, and we'll see how the draft goes out for you, is who's going to be your running back 3? And so for me, I have to get 3 running backs in those first 5 picks. Because you can see in that 6th round where you hated on the Clyde Edwards-Helaire pick. I mean, he was one of the only running backs picked in that range. So,
right.
You did see Antonio Gibson fall, So you could, go with that. And Ramondre Stevenson, I think, could have easily been in the 6th round. He's on the border there, so you never really know.
And another time here, I'm not afraid to kind of tip my hand. There's a lot of guys that I like in the back end of the drafts that kind of just fall into my lap pretty consistently. Ronald Jones, Darrell Williams, J.D. McKissick. Like, yeah, those guys aren't lead backs, but I feel like they're going to have some established roles in their offense where they're either giving me PPR upside or goal line potential upside, and a guy like Ronald Jones. So, yeah, I mean, I really don't feel like I have to rush really to any position this year. Even with the running backs, there's still some deep value plays, but those guys aren't going to be seen in like rounds 8 through 11, right? Like they're going to be a little bit deeper. So in that meantime, you can still load up on other targets that you're really high on.
It makes sense. And with tight ends, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 off the board. So people aren't necessarily rushing out to get tight ends. I feel like there's still some value on the board. There goes Cole Kmet. Brad is very high on Cole Kmet.
Aggressive.
Yeah, we were having a discussion about Cole Kmet earlier today. I was trying to send him over Dallas Goedert for Ryan Tannehill.
So I'm a Bears fan. Like rocking the field tonight. Bear down. Let's go. I'm gonna even check the score here in a second. It looks like they're about to kick off here. I'm a Bears fan, and Brad, that's too high, my brother. Like TJ Hawkinson, Dallas Goedert, Zach Ertz, Dawson Knox. These guys all have much higher touchdown percentage likelihoods. Like, I get it. Like, I want Cole Kmet touchdowns to happen. Make Cole Kmet touchdowns happen, Eberflus. Like, please, I'm begging for you. And I love the target opportunity. But even with the target opportunity, you're still going to see, a stalled offense at times. It's not the, it's, I guess none of these teams are electric offenses. Maybe the Cardinals with Zach Ertz, who I would still like over Cole Kmet. It's just not a high flying offense where you're going to see a lot of touchdowns. But hey, as a Bears fan, I appreciate it. If people are that high on them, then hey, expectations are getting a little bit better.
Yeah, I like Cole Kmet, and I think he's somebody that in your dynasty leagues is someone that I'm going after. And the price is right. Everything. Every time you evaluate a player, it's just all about cost. But for me, I in one quarterback leagues, I have him a lot closer to 12 than I have him at 6. And he went as the 6th. 6th tight end off the board. So little bold for me.
I have him at 10. I have him at 10. So hey, I got him up there, but that's a little too rich for me. And especially like in this format specifically, tight end and quarterback, because they're so thin, or not thin. I mean, because their roster utility is so thin. You're only starting one apiece, right? That's it. Like, there's going to be tons available of value in the back end of drafts.
All right. So to recap, I'm going to recap I'll let you go. Let you make your pick, and then we'll recap the last couple rounds.
It looks like I'm going to be taking a running back here. Could be questionable. It's in that mucky territory, though.
Yeah.
And I've already got my flex. So I might as well get some exposure here to
JD goal line, and that offense is going to be bleep. I'm pretty sure he's talking about Chicago.
Yeah, not ideal. But I do love David Montgomery. He's the guy that I want most out of that offense. Because they're going to run. Who did he just take? Took Miles Sanders. I don't love Miles Sanders, but I don't hate Miles Sanders, and I was going to pick him right there. So consider
that value. It's solid.
Yeah, consider me sniped. I just took Kenny Walker in an underdog draft, so let me get some exposure to Rashad Penny.
Yeah. All right, Goddard's off the board. So let's recap the last couple rounds. You want to take it?
Yeah, we finished up at what? Dak and Lazard?
Yep.
Yeah, so at 7-4, we had Devonta Smith, Antonio Gibson, Elijah Moore, Brandon Ayuk, Tony Pollard, DeAndre Hopkins at 7-9. A little early, but I don't hate it. Ken Walker at 7-10, Drake London 7-11, James Cook 7-12, followed by Cole Kmet to start the 8th round, Hunter Renfrow, Russ Wilson, Treylon Burks, Sky Moore, Tom Brady, Hawkinson in the middle of round 8, Damian Harris, Chris Olave, Miles Sanders getting sniped, Rashad Penny, Dallas Goedert, and Tyler Lockett to start the 9th round, followed by my 9th round pick, Zach Ertz. And now Griffin is back on the board. Griffin's killing this clock.
Yeah, he hit the buzzer beater with you. So I thought that was a good one. I definitely was hoping that, I could sneak Ertz back. When you got one or two people with, on the other side of the board that don't have that position, you can kind of wait. And sometimes you play the game and win, sometimes you play the game and lose. But do you look at the board when you're making your picks and kind of, it's like, all right, well, I'm going to take Renfro and hope Ertz makes it back to me because only two people need tight end. Do you look at that at all?
Yeah, I absolutely do. And that's very important, especially in like best ball formats. You want to try to stay ahead of your picks so that like, has this guy ahead of me already drafted quarterbacks? Has he already drafted tight ends? Especially those two positions specifically, again, because they're narrowly rostered, right? You're only going to take 2, 3 at the most in like a best ball format. In this format, you may only take one quarterback or one tight end. So you want to know, of that roster availability. And the situation that you're talking about, because there hasn't really been a steady run of tight ends. I just go with the upside, right? And I look at the board for what's left over at tight end. I would have gone with Renfro over at tight end just because there's so many other guys that I like. Again, it's really narrow. Still on the board, like coming up to your pick, Freiermuth, Okubanam, Irv Smith, Noah Fant.
You said it. If you say Okubanon out loud, someone picks him. You see?
Okubanam.
And there it is. That was going to be my pick.
Sorry.
That's all right. And again, we're trying to make the movement. He is Ao. I actually was talked to the girls, the women of fantasy football yesterday, and I asked them to please be part of the movement, and they gladly obliged. Everyone out there.
All right.
Albert O. It's great. It's going
to happen.
Ao.
Kubanam.
Kubanam, yeah. So, I mean, this is definitely, we're at the point of the draft where, you're getting, you got some of these PPR running backs, you got some handcuff running backs, and some of these guys will have standalone value. We just don't really, we don't have as much confidence. It's a lot of foreshadowing and, trying to predict. There's not really any starting running backs on the board unless you consider Chase Edmonds a starting running back.
Not quite. I think there might be some arguments for guys that could be that guy at some point. Rojo would definitely fit that mold for me because there's just not really a clear candidate to take off there. Let's see. Darrell Henderson, kind of a similar situation to last year. If something were to happen with Akers, they already have a split type of workload. There's some potential there. Marlon Mack, I mean, technically he's the starter, in Houston.
1A, so the Texans' unofficial depth chart, just so everyone knows, preseason games are still happening. The teams have all had to cut down to 85 players this week. Sniped on the Trey Lance.
Oh, no.
Oh, I was definitely going to go Trey Lance there.
Really?
Yeah, we talked about it last week. I'm a Trey Lance guy. I like Trey Lance a lot. But I'm okay with it because there's plenty of guys on the board that I like, and I feel like I still have 3 or 4 quarterbacks that I have in my top 12.
Where is Lance on your rankings again? Like the exact number?
Let me see. I actually have it up
because some of these guys ahead of him, man, like just like the passing touchdown opportunities seem so much.
Yeah, I don't have him in like my top 6 or anything like that.
Okay.
But I think he's my 9th or 10th.
Okay. Because that's like the same territory that I still have, like Matthew Stafford, Derek Carr, and Kirk Cousins. So yeah, if you're all in for Lance over those guys, by all means. But I feel like the Rams passing offense, the Raiders passing offense, still going to be very, very positive for fantasy football. It's very hard for me to stay away from. Kirk Cousins passing to Justin Jefferson. I get it. I get where the upside is, but man, it's rich. Yeah. It's rich.
Well, and we had a lot of fun conversations this weekend going to the expo, talking to a lot of really smart people, and a lot of people are on both. They're on different sides of the fence. There's not like a one point of view, but there's a ton of people that love Trey Lance.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean,
And
if you look at the, you know, the potential, like the frame of work and what it can be, yeah, I mean, it could be like, you know, Colin Kaepernick meets Justin Herbert. You know what I mean? Like it could be amazing.
yeah, and for me, I'm more interested in Dynasty because, you know, obviously in redraft, you get one season and that's it.
Right.
But if I get Trey Lance, I'm going to double down and get something safe, like a Kirk Cousins.
There you go.
Because if Trey Lance doesn't pan out, just move, you know, you move on and put Cousins in your lineup. But if it works out, you know, we've all been there. I've got the late round quarterback the year before Josh Allen blew up. And the year Josh Allen blew up and the year Patrick Mahomes blew up. And when you can get a guy in the 11th or 12th round that ends up as the QB1 overall, that is a monster advantage if you're able to do that. And so, you know, we'll see with Trey Lance. But if you're getting him at 6 or 7, you're probably getting him at his ceiling. Maybe at 9 or 10 is his ceiling.
Yeah, I have him just outside of quarterback 1 territory for the year. I think his rushing props are at about 500 rushing yards, and I still have him on the under. I mean, you know, I don't know if there's a reality where he actually goes over, you know, 800 rushing yards. I've seen the 1,000 rushing yard takes, and I don't know. Yeah, not quite there.
So I'll correct myself. I did not have him at 9. I have him at 12.
Okay.
So I have him right above Aaron Rodgers.
And there goes Rojo. Hashtag free Rojo.
So your thoughts on the Kansas City backfield?
For me, I mean, there's really no one that you really need to go out and get. Like, just let somebody fall into your lap, whether you're on the Pacheco, you know, bandwagon. If you're like me and you're on hashtag free Rojo, let's go Kadarius Toney here. I just feel like Rojo has the most upside and will have the most exposure to red zone touches. I don't hate Jerick McKinnon in deeper formats either. I just feel like each of these guys is going to have opportunities to touch the ball, but they're not going to be at a high volume rate. So I want to go for the guy that has the safest rushing floor and safest exposure to touchdowns, which leads me to Ronald Jones. So like we've seen, I know that you and I talked about this either last week or week before. We talked about Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Yeah, he's had over 1,000 all-purpose yard season, right? But Rojo's also rushed for over 1,000 yards. Like that's just his rushing potential floor, right? So in an offense like this with the Kansas City Chiefs, you know, he was constantly in the doghouse with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because he couldn't catch passes. And I don't think he'll be asked to catch passes at a high volume in this offense. So it's kind of just like, I feel like things are set up really well for him. But you're going to see Pacheco and Jerick McKinnon get their touches. You're going to see Clyde Edwards-Helaire probably get mixed in there as well. I'm just chasing the safest floor at the safest ADP. And for me, that's Ronald Jones.
Yeah, and, you know, it's all about like, you know, J.J. Zacharyson was talking about these muddled backfields. And he said, you know, in these muddled backfields, it's, you know, it's always easier to take the guy that is cheaper because you can get a lot more profit when you're paying less. What was that?
This guy said that Rojo is going to get cut. How dare you? How dare you, sir?
Hey,
Rojo's getting cut.
The Kansas City Chiefs, one of the local places, put out the 53-man roster, and Rojo was not on it.
That is shameful. That is shameful.
So, but what J.J. Zacharyson was saying was, you know, that was something he learned from 2021. And if you were the guy that, you know, took Leonard Fournette over Rojo, you benefited. If you took James Conner over Chase Edmonds, you benefited. And I remember listening to Fantasy Pros, and I remember the switch. And I was getting a little excited about Chase Edmonds, and then I was like, they're freaking right. I'm going to take the guy that's 4 rounds cheaper and is the big bruiser. And I went and got a whole bunch of James Conner, who's that, you know, that player that you just can't quit.
Yep.
James Conner's that guy. Like, I know it's not been a great relationship, but I keep going back. And last year, you know, it paid off. It was good. He was good to me. And we'll see what happens this year. And to the question earlier, I think it's Darrell Williams. Eno Benjamin, we haven't seen anything, but if they were that excited about Eno Benjamin, they wouldn't have brought Darrell Williams over there. So yeah. I think Williams has been proven. And if Connor were to go down, he's the most likely replacement. Eno's still going to get his time. And I like Keontae Ingram. I was scooping up Keontae Ingram everywhere in the fourth round of my rookie drafts, and then that happened. So
Irv Smith, all right, getting after it.
Irv Smith says he's gonna be ready to go week 1.
I don't hate it.
Let's do it. And then
love the player, hate his body. Just doesn't cooperate. Yeah, Darrell Williams is an awesome target the back end of drafts this year. I mean, really, all that people really need to remember is that the Cardinals produced a top 5 running back in fantasy. I mean, James Conner's not amazing, but the offense worked so well that the running back position just constantly benefited, whether it was touchdowns, whether it was pass catching opportunities. It's a very good situation to be in. So, yeah, if Conner goes down, you got to pencil in Darrell Williams as a potential, top 14 running back, in my opinion, because he's just going to get that run. He's just going to get that usage. And even if they do split it down the middle some, you have to bear in mind that you have vacated production from Chase Edmonds leaving too. So Chase Edmonds just didn't show up as that guy last year. Like Conner was putting out a better camp. He was, the guy that can play in between the tackles, which kind of leads me to the point on the Miami backfield is I want the guy like Sony Michel because he has kind of a safer rushing floor, kind of similar to Rojo, and could potentially have the higher side of red zone touches. Not saying that'll be the case, but I like that likelihood over someone like Raheem Mostert getting touches in the red zone or Chase Edmonds. So,
yeah, I'm the exact same way. Sony Michel is the guy that I would take out of that backfield. Mm-hmm. When you look at that backfield, everyone, including Sony Michel, has a history of missing games. But if you were to line them up next to each other, Sony Michel is clearly the guy that's going to get the goal line work. Mm-hmm. It's not going to be Edmonds. It's not going to be Raheem Mostert. Raheem Mostert's going to get his play on, home runs every now and then. He might be a good best ball, like one of your late picks.
Right.
Myles Gaskin might not make the roster.
Trade him, man.
We'll see. Yeah,
give him a good home. Give him a good home.
I was kind of hoping one of these guys went over to the Saints.
They could trade Adam Shaheen, but they can't trade Myles Gaskin. Like, come on. I mean, they couldn't.
They
couldn't
tried to trade Adam Shaheen, but they were unsuccessful. They tried to sell damaged goods. Yeah, you can't do that, But we do give him an A for effort. Anything to recap here?
Yeah, Justin Fields is 3 for 4, looking lights out here. Preseason ball.
Cole Kmet got a catch.
Oh, Darnell Mooney doing some dancing, doing some things. Looking Darnell Mooney like a catch for 5 yards. Darnell Mooney like.
Hey, you know what? That's 1.5 points right there for your one and a half points for your preseason fantasy squad.
Exactly.
So we're seeing a lot of darts right here for running backs. What are your thoughts here on this round of the running backs that just went off the board?
It's ugly, let me say. No, I'm just kidding. I like J.D. McKissick. I like Michael Carter, Herbert. I kind of feel like Madison and Pacheco are kind of moved up into this group unnecessarily. We're still not sure what's going to happen with Pacheco, but I mean, realistically, you got to take your stands here because we only have a few rounds left. So if you're really high on him, this person also took Rashad White the round before that. I feel like that person is just kind of taking running back dart throws in general here. Dameon Pierce, Gainwell.
It's a great strategy because at the end of the day, running backs are the ones that are going to increase the most value if injuries happen. And everyone's going to look on the waiver wire and they're going to be like, crap, they're on this guy's team. Mm-hmm. And he's going to be able to trade for what he wants. Noah got Alexander Madison there. I love that pick. Right. If you're going to go in this round, I thought about Madison with my pick because at the end of the day, Madison may have projected 0 points and may have 0 points for 8 straight weeks. But at the end of the day, he's going to have a lot more value if something were to happen, if you're looking for upside and than any of these other guys. I mean, he got Henderson the round before. Both those guys could shoot up in value with one, in one play. Right. I don't think that's going to happen for J.D. McKissick. I don't think that's going to happen for Michael Carter. Khalil Herbert, maybe. That's an interesting one. What are your thoughts about Tristan Ebner? A lot of buzz on him last couple of weeks.
He looks really good, is what I think. Like as a Bears fan, like you got to be pretty excited because we've kind of been looking for that like change of pace guy since Tariq Cohen, left. So that's the type of role that I feel he can fit. Special teams, third down back, just kind of a change of pace type of player. I don't know if he's necessarily going to be a huge fantasy asset. I feel like he's more like waiver wire fodder to start the season. But I feel like there's going to be a situation where he winds up he's on your rosters, where you're drafting this guy maybe closer to Labor Day. I'm trying to make my pick here. Can't decide.
And Cook, I put it out there on our Twitter. He's missed 13 games the last 4 years, and most of the time it happens during playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that last couple of weeks, and he's just a frustrating person to have because he takes you to the playoffs, but then he doesn't do anything. He's literally missed at least one game in the playoffs every season in the last 4 years, and some of it was the entire playoffs. And so it's super frustrating. We had the 1 year where we thought it was going to be Madison, then it was Boone, and then the next week was Madison when we thought it was going to be Boone. But I know you're not as high on Madison as I am, but I do think Madison is a good player, and I think if Dalvin Cook were to not play this season, Alexander Madison it would be an RB1.
So I wouldn't target him alone, but the reason why that was a good pick in round 12 was because that person drafted Dalvin Cook with their first pick. So
yep,
bring it full circle there. But Isaiah Pacheco, I would still take like Darrell Williams over him. Jamal Williams, who went around after Darrell. I would still value those guys that kind of fit that mold that you're talking about. Like their guy goes down in front of them, they've got a much bigger workload. Whereas Pacheco, even if a domino falls, he's still going to be in a crowded room.
And what are your thoughts, Pacheco? I mean, people have been like, "Oh, is this Darwin Thompson 2.0?"
Right? Yeah, it's just
blah,
where I was going.
Blah. He's wearing Tyreek Hill's number. He's wearing number 10.
Got to have that dog to rock 10 in Kansas City Red, right? Yeah, I mean the tape looks good. Like he looks good in training camp. He looks good in preseason. It's really just going to be about the usability, right? And right now, I still don't think no matter where you draft him, there's no argument out there that says he's going to have a major workload. If you go back to early Tyreek Hill years, even kind of talking about like Sky Moore, it took him a while to like really develop like a big target share of the offense or even get targets, right? He was just kind of being used in gadgetry, end around reverses, getting playing time on special teams. I remember picking up Tyreek Hill because I was just so buried in my league that year where it didn't matter. I was just like, well, this guy is like super explosive. He's doing all these creative things. I'm just going to roster him, and it's a keeper league. So I was like, maybe I get to keep him. I still have to keep him now, however many years later. So yeah, in those type of circumstances, it's really just going to come down to what we see on the field, after week 1. Late round dart throw. That's really it. Round 12 seems a bit early for me. Seems like someone you can still take in like the last round of your draft or second to last round. Not someone that I'm interested in moving up boards.
So Cole Kmet must have made a play because my group chat, of course, it's Bears fan, and he says Cole Kmet's going to be a top 10 fantasy tight end this year. So someone's getting excited about preseason ball.
I missed the field goal that we kicked, so he's making picks.
He's making picks. All right.
Some guy's holding a sign that says, "We need Jimmy G, freaky fast."
Oh, Jimmy John, a little Jimmy John's commercial.
What's funny about that little history is Jimmy John's was opened in Charleston, Illinois, which is the home of Eastern Illinois, where I attended collegiate school.
I mean,
and that's where Jimmy Garoppolo's from.
If you didn't know, now you do.
Know. That's right. Write that down.
Well, and we were talking Bears. I was thinking Jameis Winston or Justin Fields. And you know what? I'm going to shoot for the upside there. I got Stafford. We're going to shoot for the upside and not let Justin get Justin.
I wasn't going to do it, but man, I'm wearing the jersey. What kind of snipe is that, bro?
Yeah. Well,
weird flex, Dave.
Well, I just had to do it. And all this Bears talk got me excited. I went and made a video. If you guys check it out you can check it out on Dynasty Dorks on TikTok. I had a bunch of analysts, and I asked them, who is a player that you think is just, a great value, is almost a guaranteed, ROI kind of a guy. I don't really believe in sleepers right now. There's just so many out there that it's, if you say it's a sleeper, someone's gonna be like, yeah, everyone's talking about that guy. It's not sleeper.
You know why that is? Everyone's like obnoxiously kind of healthy, like we haven't seen like any crazy injuries, knock on wood. Yep. We right there with you. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like the soft helmets are helping, man. I don't know what's going on.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're just, they're continue to, and they're doing more joint practices, less preseason games for the starters. Hopefully everyone gets, plays, avoids injuries this weekend. But the first guy, Howard Bender, said David Njoku. He's going to be the Browns' number 2, number 2 in targets. Am I the biggest David Njoku fan in the world? No, but I'm getting him here in the 14th, 13th round. I do think there's a path where he is the second on the team in targets. And I do think Jacoby Brissett's going to have a lot. He's definitely going to dink and dunk down the field a lot more than Deshaun Watson would have. And Njoku, he's going to be one of their top targets this year. It's not going to be the best offense. They're going to run the ball quite a bit. But with Austin Hooper out of town, he got a mega contract. They're going to utilize him.
I like David Njoku. We're in a dynasty league together, and I took him really late. Like the value. Still someone, again, I feel like, he's that second to last round guy, but where you're at that turn. So like your next pick is your last pick. So it's a good spot.
Yeah. In this round, we had, some rookie running backs. We had Tyrion Davis-Price and Zamir White. What are your thoughts here about the 49ers running back situation behind Elijah Mitchell?
Davis-Price seems like the best value. There's actually been some positive talk about Trey Sermon. I'm not ready to buy on it yet. And Jeff Wilson is going to be a nag. He's going to be a problem. Only in the sense that I feel like he's going to steal goal line touches. So I don't think that he is much of a value other than potential handcuff maybe to Elijah Mitchell, kind of like a similar to Alexander Madison situation. Not overly impressed by the player. Guy ahead of him gets hurt. Could be a good situation, right? But for the value, I like Davis-Price because he's younger, has some more speed to him. I feel like he could really create some problems and create some mismatches on the outside. Don't hate the price. Not really targeting any of those guys, though. They're not really like high up on my rankings or my lists. If I get on Elijah Mitchell, I'll probably back him up with one of those guys. Most applicable way to draft either of them.
So I'll give you guys a potential sleeper, and it's Jaylen Warren. So Jaylen Warren they're saying that he is potentially locked up the number 2 role in that Steelers backfield. Obviously, we've seen this. The second guy doesn't really do anything unless there's an injury to the starter. And we hope that nothing ever happens to Najee, one of the easiest players to cheer for and really, one of the bright young stars in the NFL. But Jaylen Warren has been the talk of camp. So I want to see him play this weekend. I want to see what he looks like on the field. There's a lot of hype around some of these young players on the Steelers. George Pickens is getting a lot of hype. Calvin Austin, I don't know if you know who that is, but Calvin Austin is someone that a lot of people really talked about. Sauce Gardner said he was the hardest player ever had to guard. But Jaylen Warren, and I don't even know much about him, so I'm not even going to pretend to know a lot about him. He's 23 years old, 5'8", 215, and he wears number 30 when you're watching the Steelers games. It's not James Conner out there.
Yeah, getting a lot of hype. Like to see it. I do have me some Calvin Austin, some George Pickens shares, liking what I'm seeing. Good young group. You got Freiermuth there too. I'm still really high on Chase Claypool. Very big Deontay Johnson fan. So like what they're cooking up.
Yeah, and the Steelers organization, I don't know what they're going to do. I was writing an article last night and kind of thinking about like what's going to happen with the Steelers and the Falcons. Because the Steelers, the AFC is so competitive. Let's be honest. The Steelers, even if they're pretty good, they're probably not going to be in the playoff run. And as soon as they're out of the playoff hunt, you could most likely see them turn to their first round quarterback. And people kind of are not even acting like there's a first round quarterback out there. There's not a lot of buzz about Kenny Pickett. But they're also an old school organization that might have the mentality of just letting him sit for a year.
Right.
Ben was supposed to sit, and then Tommy Maddox got hurt. So what is your comfort level if you're in a super flex league and you're going after like a Mariota or a Trubisky?
I like Mariota more because I still feel like he'll have more upside with his legs. Has a very good connection with Arthur Smith. I feel like that chemistry and that connection that they have from their past is really what got him another shot in the NFL. And we've seen Arthur Smith revive quarterbacks before with Ryan Tannehill going to Tennessee. So I feel like they're going to have some special things cooked up in that offense. I like very similar to the Steelers. I like what they're building there too. When Calvin really comes back, you have him with Drake London and Kyle Pitts. That's pretty exciting. I bet that they're going to try to focus on probably getting, a free agent running back or a high-end draft stock running back for the next coming season or so here. So I think there's a lot of things to be positive or be excited about with them. Between Mariota and Trubisky, I'm a Bears fan, so I've been exposed to quite a bit of Mitch Trubisky tape. Even saw him live. I watched him torch up the Washington football team on Monday Night Football, drop 3 touchdowns in the first half, but where was he in the second half? Nowhere. Didn't do anything, right? Very inconsistent play. We've seen less of Mariota, so it's kind of just like, the lesser of two evils. I've seen more of Mitch recently, and maybe there's some magical things that are going to happen with Atlanta with Mariota. So I feel like maybe it might be a little bit more risky because you're looking at a guy that's only played in like one game in the last 2 years. But when he did play in that one game, he looked damn good. So I've been on the Mariota train for a while this past offseason. I feel like the pressure isn't as high on Mariota to perform, whereas with the Steelers, they have like a championship level defense right now, right? So like I feel like this team, like if they're not getting wins, that you're going to see a change in tide here. And that's why I feel a little bit less inclined to draft Mitch right now.
Yeah, I'm going to look up the schedule right now. I want to say that the Falcons have a week 14 bye, so there's not really a natural transition. And the Steelers, I think, is week 8. Okay. I want to say they have
but I could see Mitch replaced before that if things aren't going well. This is a team that hasn't had a losing record since like 2011, 2012.
Yeah.
So if things aren't going right through the first 4 or 5 games, I feel like, man, I mean, I hate saying this. I am not this guy. Believe me, I am not a Mason Rudolph fan, but they like him there, and they like him enough to still keep him and roster him, right? Hasn't looked that bad in preseason. And, they've been giving him reps with the first team. So you could see a change there. And again, that's not an indication of like, oh, go draft Mason Rudolph or, oh, go draft Kenny Pickett. It's more of just an indication, don't draft Mitch.
Yeah. So, the Falcons are week 14 and the Steelers are week 9. So that's a very natural transition point. The Steelers start off against Cincinnati, then they get New England, Cleveland, the Jets, Buffalo, Tampa, Miami, and Philly.
2, 3, 4. Those are bad weeks for Mitch. Weeks 2, 3, and 4. Those are not ideal.
Yeah. So, if you make a trade for Mitch Trubisky, you might only get him for 3 or 4 games, and they might not get any good. So I'm selling all Trubisky shares. I just don't want anything to do with it. And not that I kind of like Trubisky, and he's another one that we hope that he was rehabilitated being up there in Buffalo. But that's a rough schedule right there. And even if he comes out of that, 500, if Cincinnati's 7-0 or something like that, or Baltimore's really good, it could be looking to pick it at that week 9 spot.
Hey, man, Pickett's got that dog in him. We saw that preseason game closing it out, final seconds on the clock, scoring a touchdown. Like, don't knock it because it's preseason, man. Like that still takes a lot. Detroit Lions, they're still losing games on their last drives. You know what I mean? And it's preseason, so there's going to be some things that correlate to the regular season.
So let's go down the teams. You want to start with team number 1?
Yeah, make me turn off this Bears game. All right. So we're just going down Beer guys' roster here.
Yep.
All right, gotcha. So we're let's go with the running backs. We'll just go down the roster. So quarterbacks, we got Lamar Jackson in the 4th round and Mac Jones in the last. I feel like the 4th round, again, is a bit of a reach in this format for quarterback, but you backed it up by not, making any other draft capital in the quarterback position until the last round. So I can't really hate that. Moving on to running backs, very good start with CMC, Javonte Williams, Ramondre Stevenson, and then Tyler Algier. So not a ton of exposure to the running back position here. Got to really bank on CMC and Javonte staying healthy. Let's go over to the wide receivers where we're bound to have more value. We've got Tyreek Hill, Mike Williams, Gabe Davis, Lockett, Pickens, Shark, Osborne. I really like all those guys. Just think maybe one more of those could have been a running back. And then tight ends, Dallas Goedert and Gerald Everett. Not bad at all. Love Gerald Everett as a late round tight end target. Dallas Goedert, I have him about 7 or 8 in my redraft ranking. So probably pretty appropriate where you drafted him. It looks like he was probably about that 8th or 9th guy. So very good stuff here. The only criticism I'd have there is just maybe another running back, even if you're, being like 0 RB or getting less exposure to running backs, you still want to have a good 4 or 5 in a format like this because, again, we're not overloading at tight end or quarterback here.
Yeah, no, I like that. And then for your team, I get to go through yours. Start out with
Mhm.
running back heavy, Jonathan Taylor and Aaron Jones. If both those guys can stay healthy all year, you're gonna be a problem.
Yup.
Keenan Allen, Marquise Brown, Allen Robinson, Rashad Bateman. Really like that running back, that receiver room. I feel like you're pretty solid there, and you have some depth, for the flex position and for bye weeks. Dak Prescott, I think I have him at 7 or 8 on my quarterback rankings. Penny was a nice save here because I don't love the fact that you didn't get another running back for that far, because I look at it. Okay, what if what if Jonathan Taylor's on bye and Aaron Jones is
Mhm.
hurt? Who are you going to start?
Darrell
Okay.
Williams, Rojo.
Yeah. I mean, I don't love the Rojo pick, but okay,
Right.
Rashad Penny, yeah, I like that. I didn't like Ertz just because I wanted him on my team. So I like that pick, but don't like it. And then Kadarius Toney, I think that's a tremendous value there in the 11th. Wish I would have saw him on the board and scoots him up a little sooner than that. Darrell Williams talked about it. I think he's going to be. A handcuff. I don't think he's going to be someone that you're going to play any. But I think he's a good handcuff on a very good offense. Jarvis Landry, Jameis Winston. Again, that was my other guy other than Fields. So I like Winston this year. People forget last year he was pretty good. The turnovers were much lower. I think it was a 2-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. He threw the
7-3.
ball a lot less. And if you were to take just those 6 games, he played the full games, projected for it, and I was on pace for 39 touchdowns and 13 and a half interceptions. Jameis Winston, the 30 for 30 guy.
Right.
And then Noah Fant to finish it out. He's still a stud. They're going to be playing from behind a lot. We'll see. So let's go with Griffin's team.
Yeah. Noah Fant, last pick. You can't beat that. Love to start with Justin Jefferson, followed up by Leonard Fournette and James Conner. Still pretty good. Might need some help with PPR there at the running back position. Let's see how we picked that up later on. Darren Waller, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Kyler Murray, Allen Lazard. I really like that run there. Coming back around to get the wide receivers. I like both Amon-Ra and Lazard. Miles Sanders and Cordell Patterson in the middle of the draft, not bad, in that kind of like mucky, running back area. Followed up by his second tight end and Hunter Henry. Derek Carr, I like that quarterback stack there between Murray and Derek Carr. That's a good group. Marquez, Valdez, Scantling, throwing a flyer in the Kansas City receiver room. Can't hate on that. Jamison, or is that Jamal or Jamison? That's Jamal Williams. Good pick. Jamison Williams wouldn't have been a great pick right there. Marlon Mack and then Jacoby Myers to close it out. Yeah, deep shots. Don't hate them. Good picks for the second and last round of the draft for sure.
Yeah, I mean Leonard Fournette had 89 targets last year. What do you mean he's not on a PPR back?
Well, that's everyone's saying Rachaad White's going to be that guy now. That's going to kind of flip around a little bit because now you're going to have him in more of like that Rojo role where he's your first and second down guy.
So
I like Leonard Fournette. I draft him in a lot of spots, but people aren't as high on him for like the PPR opportunities.
With this team, I would not have gone after the second quarterback and second tight end so early. If you go early tight end and early quarterback, it's really going to hurt you somewhere, and it hurt him at running back depth and receiver. Amon-Ra St. Brown is your wide receiver too. That's tough. Allen Lazard, we'll see, but it's not the strongest. Yeah, wide receiver too, in my opinion. Next one's Tommy Two Socks. We got Derrick Henry and Nick Chubb. He doesn't care about catching the ball. He doesn't care it's PPR. He's just going to run the ball down your throat. Kyle Pitts, Jalen Waddle, Josh Jacobs. Again, he does not care about catching the ball. But we'll see. This Patriots, someone had the box score up, at the expo, and they were talking about, the combined targets. It was 13 targets for the running backs in Las Vegas. We just, we don't know how that's going to be split up. If they're going to have Kenyon Drake be the PPR guy and Josh Jacobs is going to be the hammer, is that how it's going to be split up? We're going to see a lot of Zamir White. Is everyone going to get some?
Man, Zamir White looked so good in preseason. I don't know how they don't give him some touches.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for them not to give him touches. They tried to put to bed the whole Josh Jacobs trade rumors, and then Zamir White looked better, and it just threw some fire on him.
I don't know if I see Jacobs getting moved. I mean, they didn't pick up his extension, but I don't know if we're going to see him get traded. I don't know if anyone's going to give him the return that they'd be looking for.
No. And you know, running backs, you can't get a lot of value. They're usually more valuable to the team that has them than they are to the team that's trying to get them based on the compensation. Joe Burrow, I'm in the 6th pick. Devonta Smith and Chris Olave, I like those picks. James Robinson, Pat Freiermuth, Tua Tagovailoa, Jalen Tolbert, Julio Jones. So really, really well-rounded receiver room after he, waited a little bit on it. And then getting Pat and Kyle Pitts, and that's fun. Upside pick with Jalen Tolbert and Julio Jones. You might drop Julio after week 2, or you might have a smash now that he's the new tight end there in Tampa. Gus Edwards, I like that pick. I think Gus Edwards, he's someone that was getting 10 plus, rushes on the field before he got hurt. He can go on there and play. I just don't know what him versus, Mike Davis and see what that role is. He is on the pup, even though J.K. Dobbins is not. So he's still, we got to get the injury update. And then Kenny Galladay finish it up. We'll see. Giants camp does not sound very good about Kenny Galladay. But we'll see if he can. He's got to do a little better than last year, right?
Someone's got to catch the ball.
All
as
right.
long as he's healthy, he's got to get some type of workload. All right, next up, we've got Aiden starting off wide receiver and quarterback heavy. We got Jamar Chase, Josh Allen at the 2.8. A little risky in single quarterback leagues. Mike Evans at 3.5, George Kittle 4.8, J.K. Dobbins at 5.5, Brandon Cooks, Antonio Gibson, Dame Harris, Devin Singletary. A nice run of running backs, given that he faded the position early, so I don't hate it, but don't necessarily love the situation. Chase Claypool, Mike Gesicki, Rondell Moore, Trevor Lawrence, again, a little bit earlier, for drafting a quarterback that high. Probably should have waited your last pick. Mark Ingram, and taking a flyer on OBJ. Maybe he lands somewhere. Maybe you can throw him in your IR to start the year and go pick up a free piece off of the waiver wire.
No, I like it. I think that running back run was pretty good to get Gibson where he got him. I know there's a lot of rumors out there with Gibson running with the special team and doing all that stuff, but if Gibson ends up, being the starter, you got him in the 6th round. So it could be a smash there. But he's your 2, and then you got Damian Harris, Devin Singletary. I think that's an interesting collection of backs. And we'll just see how that ends up. So the next team, they took Austin Eckler at the 106, Deebo Samuel 207, Ezekiel Elliott 306, Deontay Johnson at 407, Elijah Mitchell 506, Amari Cooper 607. Running back, receiver, running back, receiver, running back, receiver. Then Elijah Moore 706.
It's not a bad plan.
Doubled up at tight end, T.J. Hawkinson, Dawson Knox. And I got the late round quarterback, Aaron Rodgers. So I like the build here. I thought that was a really nice balanced roster. Brian Robinson, talking about Antonio Gibson. Brian Robinson right now is definitely the hype in Washington. Christian Watson, Michael Gallup, Deshaun Watson. Could be interesting if Michael Gallup and Deshaun Watson are there and this guy makes the playoffs. Could do some damage when those guys come in as reinforcements. All right, we got our boy Bandy 4.
Yeah, I really like that last team. All right, heavy running back start. I like this here. Najee Harris, Joe Mixon, David Montgomery. Then reverted to receiver at Terry McLaurin. I like it. Came back around for A.J. Dillon. Maybe a little bit too heavy RB, but it's a good pick. Darnell Mooney, Brandon Ayuk, and then Tom Brady. Very good start through 8 picks. I really like that start. Even with pushing wide receiver a little bit, you have great value up front with running backs. And even with getting Dillon kind of in like that mucky area where it starts, I think that's really good value. And then Darnell Mooney, Ayuk, Tom Brady, Albert Okwuegbunam, Russ Gage, Tyler Boyd, a couple of good mid-tier receivers, Khalil Herbert, now taking some shots with maybe some Romeo Dubes and some Sammy Watkins and Matt Ryan to close it out. So, I only drafted one tight end, but I don't hate it. I like this team a lot.
All right. Well, Cooper Kupp to start out at the 108. That's a little further down the board than I expected him.
Yeah. I think Henry is probably just the one guy that gets pulled up a little bit. So I don't think you see Kupp fall past 7 very often.
So I thought it was a good value. Then he got Mark Andrews, went early tight end, A.J. Brown, Patrick Mahomes, Juju Smith. So no running backs in the first 5 picks. Then he went Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Tony Pollard. Then got Sky Moore. This guy likes the Chiefs.
Yeah.
And then he got Dameon Pierce, Kenneth Gainwell, and Rashad White.
That is a lot of Chiefs.
He did kind of go the 0 running back, and hopefully, with these guys, he's hoping that Dameon Pierce becomes a starter and that some of these things kind of break right for some of these guys. And we talked about Rashad White and Isaiah Pacheco, another Chief. Wan'Dale Robinson, the hype in Giants camp is that he is going to be there's going to be their slot. And so Sterling Shepard he's recovering from Achilles. He tore his Achilles, I think week 16, 17 last year. So he's on the kind of the same track that James Robinson is. And the Giants almost cut him. He did come back on a reduced salary. He really wanted to stay with the Giants. But I think Shepard's days with the Giants are coming to a close here soon. And Wan'Dale Robinson is going to be the day one starter in the slot there. And that's been a heavily targeted spot for the Giants going back to Daniel Jones and even when Eli Manning was there.
Is Sterling Shepard the last guy on the boat? The boat photo? He's the last one?
I don't think Darius Slayton was on it, but if Darius Slayton was on the boat, then they're both there.
You guys are almost there. You're almost there.
Almost done with the boat. You had Jahan Dotson and then Hassan Haskins. I think Haskins is a good late round flyer because if something happens to Derrick Henry, we will see. But Hassan Haskins is, he's profiled to be, that's Deonta Foreman type of a backup to King Henry.
Yeah, not sure if he has standalone value in a format this shallow, like 18 rounds, 20 rounds. I definitely think he's worth picking up, but I think there's probably a couple other names that might get some use or run before him, but not a bad handcuff if you do draft Derrick Henry. All right, I'll take, I believe this is Noah's team at the 9th pick. We got Dalvin Cook, followed by Travis Kelce, get things started at the tight end position. T. Higgins, Justin Herbert, the second quarterback taken off the board, 4th round. Getting a little bit early, but don't hate it. Didn't draft another quarterback whatsoever, so good stuff. Chris Godwin in the 5th round. Not going to be hearing that for much longer. It sounds like he's getting healthier and healthier by the day. Adam Thielen, DeAndre Hopkins, Treylon Burks. Good run there. If you're going to draft DeAndre Hopkins, it's probably good to get him in a nice little run of wide receiver so you shore up that value while he's out. And then followed by a very strong run of running backs, another 4 rounds straight here. Melvin Gordon, Nyheim Hines, Darrell Henderson, Alexander Madison, closing it out with Jameson Williams. It might be a little bit too rich. Robinson did go before. I was thinking he could have taken Robinson. Chuba Hubbard and Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill with the last or second to last tight end pick. What do you think about Taysom Hill? You think he's going to have a role at tight end? He is number 1 on the depth chart right now there.
No, he's a best ball play. You hope that you get that 1 or 2 games that he actually does something. Right. And he doesn't have quarterback eligibility anywhere that I'm aware of. So if you get that game where he pops off, or if somehow Jameis Winston and Andy Dalton go down, he could be a cheat code in your tight ends this Thanksgiving again all of a sudden.
Do you think they'll have him running down kicks and like playing linebacker and wide receiver?
They're going to try to squeeze every freaking dollar out of that dude because they're paying him a boatload of money to go be the backup tight end on the team. I mean, it is
not a bad pick, Noah.
One of the most bogus things that we've ever seen. But yeah, let's wrap this up. Adam's actually calling me right now. I'll call you right back, sir. And I got the next one. All right. So CeeDee Lamb, Saquon Barkley, Michael Pittman, DJ Moore, Jerry Jeudy. Saquon, I do think Saquon's in for a huge workload. And I do like the CeeDee Lamb pick. It just was probably a little early. I would have taken Diggs, or why are we on the main YouTube feed? I guess we're okay. Let's wrap this up here in a second. So Stephon Diggs, Breece Hall. That's my team. So we got Pittman, DJ Moore, Jerry Jeudy. We have Dalton Schultz, Kenneth Walker, Russell Wilson, Trey Lance, Chase Edmonds, Garrett Wilson, Michael Carter, Tyrion Davis-Price, Isaiah McKenzie, and D'Ernest Johnson. So with this team, went heavy with the receivers. Kenneth Walker and Chase Edmonds as his second and third running backs. Don't love that. But what are your thoughts here on this team?
I like the start. Went wide receiver heavy, but I like all the wide receivers. CeeDee Lamb, Barkley, Pittman, Moore. Judy's in a good situation. That would probably be where I would have averted to, maybe a running back. But again, if that's the cup of tea that you want to pour, by all means, pour it out. Dalton Schultz maybe a little bit early there. Ken Walker starting to get more on my more comfortable side, but now he's just got hurt, but it sounds like he'll still be back. Don't know if I love that as your second running back. So like, and those 2 picks ahead of that, you may have been able to get just a little bit of a better upgrade at running back, maybe Dylan or Mitchell that went in that round. Josh Jacobs, I feel like one of those picks would have been pretty equal to Jerry Jeudy. Quarterbacks, don't hate it. Russell Wilson followed by Trey Lance. If you're trying to get that shot, like you had mentioned, like, the guy that, it's a little bit deeper in the ADP, that could be top 3, top 5 potential. Hey, plant your flag, go ahead and do it. And, because you took the tight end and the 2 quarterbacks right there, it really freed up your flexibility for the back end of the draft. If you had drafted another tight end, it would not have been a good situation. But I like how you finished with Chase Edmonds, Garrett Wilson, Michael Carter, Davis Price, McKenzie, and then Dearness Johnson's pretty good stuff. Dearness Johnson, man, it doesn't sound like Kareem Hunt's going to get traded, but if he were, Dearness Johnson would be the biggest benefactor of that. He popped off in just some crazy ways last year. I remember spending like all of my FOB on him and him going off for what was like a 30 burger, something crazy in the middle of last season. That was amazing stuff. I didn't have, the rest of my FOB for the rest of the year. So tread lightly, fantasy owners when doing stuff like that. But hey, if a win is a win, right? If you got to spend a lot to get at least one win, you won't be complaining if it got you into the playoffs. So
for sure. Well, you can break down mine. I'll break down Brad's.
All right. So you had DeAndre Swift, Stephon Diggs, good start, followed up by Breece Hall, Cam Akers. I'm a lot higher on Hall there. Great run of receivers after that, which is, really props up the picks on running back. So Thomas, Metcalf, Drake London, Hunter Renfrow. I think, those are your last receivers. Need no more. That's a great group. Isaiah Spiller, then Matthew Stafford. Good spot to take your first quarterback, double-digit rounds. In this type of format, you're just getting the best value there. You did take 2 of your next 3 picks with tight ends, but again, you didn't have one yet, so really just playing the ADP there. Love it. J.D. McKissick, you've heard me bang that drum all offseason, so he's definitely someone I'm high on as a secondary running back. And, hey, rocking the fields, can't hate on that. And Donta Foreman, who I think will have an actual reliable role with the Carolina Panthers. I know that people always say it's like, oh, it's easy to say the PPR running back's going to play receiver, but I really believe that when they say it's CMC. I really buy into that narrative if that's the case. So, yeah, like his standalone value in the last round here.
Appreciate that. Yeah, I think he's going to be the guy over Hubbard. We'll start with the last team. Devontae Adams, Alvin Kamara, Travis Etienne, Cortland Sutton. Balanced right there. Jalen Hurts, Kareem Hunt, James Cook, Cole Kmet. We talked about already, kind of a little early. Robert Woods and Christian Kirk, I thought were good values for some depth there. So he's got really good depth at all positions, and his starting lineup is set. So now we just can, Kirk Cousins, Devonta Parker, Zamir White, Nico Collins, Tyler Higbee. I like the way he finished up. Devontae Parker, word from Andrew Erickson, who was at camp. Devontae Parker is the wide receiver you want to own if you are getting any of the New England receivers. Him and Mac Jones have a really good connection, and he's looked really good in camp. All right, well, make sure you guys follow us next week. Give the show a follow. Make sure you give us a review. Appreciate all you guys, and as always, good luck this season.
See you guys. Be good.